It's another beautiful day in Brisbane and we're working on this thing again. Gonna do a reverse camera today, or try to. Obviously being a utility, it's quite an awkward size to reverse in, so a little bit of better help to have a set of eyes in the back of my head, I guess. So it's one that just changes up with the rear view mirror. I've got a short video that I did before just of the field of view. So this is just going to show you some of the dimensions of the vehicle. I'll show you the driver's side mirror, the field of view there, the rear view mirror, and then the passenger side mirror, so we get a good understanding of the spatial awareness. And here are the tools that you're going to need for it. Firstly, you're going to need the rear view camera, that's up there. Plastic removal tool, wire stripping tool, drill, impact drill, drill bits, socket set, multimeter, fuse tap, scissors, scalpel, solder, heat shrink, torque set, heat gun, soldering iron, pick set, Leatherman's, which is a multi-tool, and a Stanley knife there. So with all of that in mind, let's get started. So what I'm doing here is just going around and removing some of the screws in the tailgate here. Just Phillips head, just to remove some of the screws on the panel, and same from the handle that's there. Now it's pretty straightforward to remove. However, I did have to move the tailgate supporting wires, just to make sure that I could remove that plastic shrouding there. Reason why I've got to do this, I've got to take it off, mount the camera to the rear of the tailgate, and this obviously allows me access to that rear panel for when I need to drill a hole, obviously, for the camera wire to come through. So you see that I've removed the plastic there, and yeah, you know, still kept holding it on there with the support wires as well. So now I'm moving on with the tonneau. This was quite interesting actually, trying to get it off. One of the main issues that I had here was the gas struts. At one stage I actually popped off and caused it to go quite uneven and almost came flying out the back of the tub. What I'm doing here is I'm releasing some of the screws on the inside that hold the hinges in. And this is the point here where it was quite difficult by myself to actually get this big tonneau off. I ended up damaging some of the paint on the driver's side, but as you can see, with a little bit of initiative and a little bit of will, I get it off, no problems at all. And there you can see the hinges at the back of the cabin there, where I had to remove about, I think it was 8 screws entirely. So now, as you can see on the far side, there's these brackets, these black brackets there. I've got to remove those off there, so I can actually remove the interior tray. So that's what I'm going down with the drill doing now. One of them does require a spanner. I think the size was a 13mm to get it off. But yeah, these actually rock that inside plastic tray off. So here was me returning with some more tools that I needed to obviously complete the job. Yeah, obviously crack back into it, make quick work of those little brackets there, and then yeah, I can start to slide the plastic inner tray out. Fairly flexible, easy to get out. Give it a quick brush as well, give it a clean, and then start looking at the wiring. So here you'll see me just releasing the rear driver's side tail light, and what I'll do is I'll be testing the wires to see which one's the positive and which one's the negative. So I use my multimeter for this, and this is just to check, just to make sure that the signal wire for the auxiliary camera unit activates once it has that power running through that part of the system. So it lets it know to turn on, and that's all I'm testing now there with the multimeter. And once I've done that, I'll go into the harnessing and I'll start to solder. And what you can see me doing there is just heating the wires, just separating them, just so I can get that multimeter there. And there's the reverse lights on, and it'll give me a signal of some power reading on the live feed and 0 on the negative one. And that's what I'm checking now, just to make sure that I hook the correct wires up. So moving on to the wiring now, you'll see that I've separated the wires here, green being the live, black being the earth. And what I'll be doing now is connecting the red signal wire to the green, obviously via a soldering method, and the black one obviously to the earth as well, which I'll be soldering as well. You can see me sort of having a play with here. And I used a technique called a military splice, I believe. It's where you sort of open the wire up and spread some of those ones that you intend to connect, give them a twist, and then just solder over it, and it makes a nice neat connection, and quite strong actually. It was a good method to use. Now here, my soldering iron is not the most fantastic bit of kit. Usually you heat from underneath the wire, but this one I had to go directly on the solder, and just make sure all those little gaps were filled in, so it was, you know, nice and strong. And I obviously pull tested as well, and it comes out pretty good. Doesn't affect the functionality of the bulb or anything. It's done almost like a professional job. Here you can see me getting some of the heat wrap. I think I ended up opting just to tape it in the end. It was quicker. Yeah, you know, give it a go with the heat wrap, see how it goes, but the tape worked just as fine as well. And yeah, you know, not too long till I finish this and can start linking it back through the vehicle, and then hooking the rest of the system up. Now here's me obviously just moving on to the earth, doing that one, and yeah, then I'll start linking some of the wiring up to the harness on the car. So here you can see the finished product of where I've connected the live and the earth. One thing I forgot to mention before is when you're using the multimeter, what you want to do is earth the black wire and connect the red to the exposed wire. So what you'll see me doing here is obviously wiring up the camera, feeding it through the tub and through the tray. As you saw before, I've already fed it through the back part, and then I was just showing you there what the travel of the wire is going to be. Here's me obviously just fiddling around, feeding the wire up through the correct avenues in the places that have, you know, other parts of the harness in that area, so I can take them off that to keep it nice and secure. You know, feed it up, feed it through the tray, and then I'll feed it through the cabin. So just touching up the auxiliary extension part now, that will be running from the camera all the way through into the cabin. And you can see the travel of the wire here, and that little hole leads into the back of the cabin, which I'll show you shortly. So you'll see me walking around a little bit here because I realized that I had to take off a few panels, which I'll show you now. So this is obviously the side panel near the seating. I had to remove some of the seating paneling as well, so I could remove some of the B pillar panel, and you know, you can pretty much see it here. Take it down to the body, remove some screws in here to loosen it up so I can actually release the back panel that you can see just to the right there, and then better in this shot just to the right, so I can get a little bit of leverage on it and pull that wire through and feed it through the roof liner. So I had to go through and do all of that just to make sure that the wire was fed through nice and neatly, which it did. You can't see it in the cabin. It fed through really nice. And here's obviously where you can see that it feeds through into the cabin and up through the back panel board. Yeah, just there. Easy work. As you can see, it's quite a long cable, and yeah, I wish it was long as something else. This is the fuse tap. This has obviously got to tap into the power supply, which actually gives the regulatory power to the monitor, which is the review's camera. This is a fuse tester, so if you earth it and then touch the exposed metal on the fuse, you'll actually get a light that lets you know that it's live, and that's good to find out whether it's a constant supply or it's an accessory supply. This one, for some reason in my car, it had a sunroof fuse in it, but the car doesn't have a sunroof fuse, so I just used that port there to hijack and connect up the power supply for the reverse monitor. Obviously you need a live wire and an earth wire for anything that requires power. This is me just going through splicing the live wire to put into the fuse board, and it just crimps onto the fuse tap. Now initially I only put one fuse in it, and it was a dual tap. It needs two to function, so you'll see me playing around for a little bit quite soon with the monitor, putting it into reverse, and lo and behold, it doesn't work. It's very important that if you use a fuse tap, you use the amount of ports that's there, and you also earth it as well to make sure that it's got both connected requirements for connection terminals. So here's me testing everything with the multimeter, because I made a mistake and didn't put two fuses in the fuse tap, so I'll explain that now.
Right. Couldn't get the camera working yesterday, so I'll have to diagnose that, find out what's up. But my testing tool's not working at the moment. What I'm going to do instead, work on the headlights, and then come back and try and diagnose what the problem is with the reverse camera. Now, I think the issue is power supply, because it's not showing any light when it comes on or anything. So, issue with that would be obviously from the fuse relay up to the monitor. It doesn't matter about the reverse signal, because that's just a signal wire, it's not a supply, so it's not such a too big a drama. However, the fact that it's not getting power, well, I've got to check it first and I'll take you through a diagnosis of it, but it's either the monitor or it's the supply.
And here's me just having a fiddle with it, just double checking that everything's in the right location and neat. And yeah, I found out later on that it was simple as putting two fuses into the fuse tap if it's a dual fuse tap, and it connects the entire circuit. So something very simple, but it was good to know that through the fault finding, diagnosing, asking a friend, it was a very, very simple error of something that I just have no industry knowledge about, but the camera works.
All right, so after some fault finding, ready? Ta-da! It works. I mean, it's a little bit down, but it's better than nothing. It's a hell of a lot better than not being able to see. And the great thing about it, well, all that was wrong was down there. You're supposed to have two fuses in the fuse tap, not one.
And what I'm doing here is just gonna cut this white wire because it flips the image, because the camera is actually designed to be forward facing. And here you can see it representing the right mirrored finish, and you get good situational awareness, and it's a lot safer. I can see what's coming up behind me now, so good job. If you enjoyed that, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.